The U.S. brings home the gold in the women's gymnastics team's final today at the Paris Olympics. Vancouver's own Jordan Childs and Oregon State gymnast Jade Carey joined Simone Biles and Suni Lee in a dominant victory for Team USA. Each of the athletes performed a nearly flawless routine on each of their events. Italy wound up getting the silver. Brazil won the bronze. If you missed it, you can watch the coverage tonight on KGW, all in prime time. Thanks for joining us here. I'm Drew Carney. In local news today, the NewbergDundy School Board decided to replace embattled Superintendent Stephen Phillips. As KGW's Catherine Cook explains, the decision comes just a few weeks after Phillips took a 2-month leave of absence in the midst of a school district budget crisis.
Any further discussion?
In a brief Newberg School Board meeting Monday night, members decided on the future of Superintendent Stephen Phillips' contract. In a 6-1 vote, they moved to send Phillips a 12-month notice that his contract would not be renewed. He'll still get paid, though, and after that year-long period, will be able to stay on as a consultant for the district for another year.
We have worked on drafting a notification that would satisfy that obligation.
In June, Phillips announced he'd be taking a 2-month medical leave of absence. The move struck many as abrupt. It happened just after board members reported being blindsided by news that the district was nearly $4 million in debt. When Phillips returns from medical leave, board members say he won't be working as superintendent. They haven't shared what role he'll have as he continues to earn superintendent wages, $180,000 a year, plus cost of living adjustments. In the meantime, former Newberg Superintendent Paula Radish is filling the interim position for free. Her 2-month volunteer role ends August 13th. Catherine Cook, KGW News.
Meanwhile, in Washington County, a grand jury indicted a man for allegedly killing his brother earlier this year at a local family-owned event center called Horning's Hideout. Robert Horning is accused of killing Carl Horning on January 2nd. Investigators detained and questioned Robert at the time of the shooting and then released him. In addition to the indictment, deputies also arrested Robert Horning and booked him into jail. Portland Police Chief Bob Day is among the people who say they're concerned with Multnomah County's proposal to offer treatment for people caught with small amount of hard drugs. Chief Day sent a letter to Multnomah County's chair on Monday asking why it's going to take the county 2 years to fully open a 24/7 drop-off sobering center, something the city hasn't had since 2019. The chief urged the Board of Commissioners to prioritize the immediate implementation of the sobering center, saying, quote, "We can no longer accept the consequences of further delay." Here's County Commissioner Julia Brim Edwards, who once led the sobering center efforts.
I'm delighted that the chief is continuing to push forward and sounding the alarm that, again, this is best for the individual who's on the street intoxicated and should be in a safer place, which is the sobering center.
The center will open in September when possession of small amounts of drugs like fentanyl once again becomes a crime here in Oregon. A permanent drop-off sobering center, though, won't open until 2026. That's 2 years later than originally planned. The Multnomah County Board of Commissioners will also have a meeting with the sobering center next month. Investigators are trying to find a man who's accused of intentionally running over a flock of seagulls just outside Long Beach, Washington. Witnesses took these photos we're showing you on Saturday. One of them clearly shows a bird on the front grille of that Jeep. The man is accused of speeding on the sand, hitting and killing 25 birds, and almost hitting 2 people and their dog. Washington's Department of Fish and Wildlife is investigating. Yesterday's rain gave firefighters a boost, but there are still 43 active large wildfires burning just in Oregon. That's according to the state's Department of Forestry. The Durkee fire in eastern Oregon is the largest. It's burned more than 293,000 acres alone in the last 2 weeks. It is 51% contained today, but there are still level 3 go now evacuation orders in place. Those are the spots you saw there a moment ago in red. Governor Tina Kotek announced yesterday that the Oregon Department of Forestry is going to get help from the Oregon National Guard at this point. A total of 92 members of the Guard will help fight fires throughout the state, with a majority of them going to the Durkee fire. All right, with all that in mind, we're going to check in with Rodney Hill now there in the Weather Center. Rod, what do you have for us?
Well, you know, when you add the Washington fires, that count sadly is over 50 large wildfires burning, most of which, as Drew mentioned, are in Oregon. You know, the rain and the cooler weather that we had starting the back end of last week has allowed, the Durkee fire a week ago. It had no containment. Now that containment's up to what? Over 50%. So that's good news. And then also the rain that we had. Look at this. This is the most empty this smoke model map has been in weeks. The only thick smoke plume in the entire state of Oregon being picked up is near and to the east of Burns. But Central Oregon, not really much of any smoke being detected, and also out over the Blues, and that's showing up on our air quality map. The green dots are good, but over in Deschutes County, where it's been bad air quality and bad smoke, moderate air quality, it's a big improvement. Moderate air quality in Harney County, huge improvement, and also out in Baker County. So, boy, the rain really helps on so many fronts when it comes to fire season. A day so far that's running warmer than I thought. We are kind of partly to mostly cloudy out there. That's likely going to continue. We're at 76 degrees, so it's looking to be a slam dunk that we will at least get up into the 80s. I have us 81 degrees at 5 o'clock, and if anything, maybe we get a little bit warmer than that. Mainly dry weather moving forward. The only question is how much sun we get versus the cloudiness that's still around. Hot weather quickly returning. Drew, I've upped the forecast temperatures for Thursday and Friday. That's not good news. That's coming up in my 7-day forecast.
Yeah, we'll do that, Rod, here in just a few minutes. Back to some headlines first, though. A memorial service is happening today in Mount Angel for longtime Oregon lawmaker Peter Courtney. Courtney died of complications from cancer on July 16th. Today's memorial is private, but it's also being streamed on the St. Mary Catholic Church YouTube channel. A public celebration of Courtney's life will be held in Salem at a later date. All right, a follow-up now to an issue that several counties in our area have been dealing with for years: slow ambulance response times. It's something our KGW investigative team has been digging into now for a long time, and today we're sharing the story of a local fire district that's doing something about it. Here's KGW's Alma McCarty with more.
New to the fleet in Clark County.
It was a fairly inexpensive way to provide that extra level of safety for our citizens.
An ambulance purchased used from a dealership in Texas.
It was actually in the federal system, so it was transporting to and from military hospitals. It has some miles on it, but it's really in good condition.
David Russell, Assistant Chief of Operations for Clark County Fire District 6, says by the end of August, it will be ready.
And so this is kind of an insurance measure to kind of bridge the gap between AMR and a long transport time.
Level 0, or when provider American Medical Response has no ambulance to send, has become a problem across the Portland metro to varying degrees. Our KGW investigators looked at data from the first 6 months of 2023 in Clark County and found ambulances were busy and unable to respond right away on 3% of calls. In District 6, Russell explains they've been pretty lucky, but they still want to be prepared.
Seeing the stories that happen in Multnomah County with fire engines transporting critical patients, right? That's not a place to provide care on the floor of a fire engine. So we wanted to do something that would provide our citizens with a higher level of service and give our responders a place to work that is acceptable in the rare need that we need this.
All right, David Russell, who we just heard from there, also says that officials only expect to use that ambulance about 5 to 10 times a year when a wait time is any longer than 30 minutes. All right, before we get back to Rod Hill, the meteorologist here, we have to check in with Rod Hill, the wannabe gymnast. Rod had a chance to check out the very gym in Vancouver that helped produce two-time Olympic gymnast Jordan Childs.
We always warm up with balance drills each day to get the discipline and finding their balance.
We are here with Go Beavs, former Beaver gymnast Rondi, and you've been with Nadenoff for years, I know.
Yes, before Nadenoff started, actually.
And you're going to take us through your athletes behind me are doing the floor exercise, is that right?
Yes, that's the floor exercise. This is Emma Fields. She's a up-and-coming bright star there. Here's Zoe doing a front handspring, front tuck, and a nice finish at the end. Aubrey, front handspring, tuck front, and working on those finishes.
And does the floor exercise have required elements that must be in for the Olympics?
Yes. Typically, a younger athlete might do 2 tumbling passes, and as they get older and advance in the levels, they do 3 tumbling passes.
Can I borrow the floor just for 1 second?
Yes.
1, 2, 3, I'm running. Here comes a forward roll.
Oh,
Whoa! How was that? I wasn't expecting
10.
applause.
Hi, I'm Kiana Crabb, and I'm a level 10 gymnastics athlete.
So when did you start doing gymnastics?
I started when I was 4 years old at Nananog Gymnastics, and just grew up in it ever since, so yeah.
And from 4 years old, every day your family bringing you to the gym for the most part, or 5 days a week?
Yep,
Or?
5 days a week, 5 hours a day. I started when I was about 7 years old doing that. I left school early every single day and homeschooled half day at night, so very motivated and dedicated to be in this sport, so they did whatever it took to get me here.
Favorite event?
Vault, definitely. It makes me feel like I'm flying. I'm super powerful, and I just love the vault the best, yeah.
Remember one thing you like best about being a gymnast?
I like the discipline it gives me. I like how responsible it made me and independent it made me. The aspect of being in a team sport also is what I love the most about it.
Training without fear. I'm on the trampoline. I'm going to end up in the foam pit. Now my first move is just going to be a simple jump. Here we go. Not bad for an old man, huh? Now I covered how do I get out of here? Distance, I did.
You did get a long ways away from your takeoff spot, I thought.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I didn't get high in the air, but the
Should we focus on the amount of time?
Covered.
Should we focus on the amount of time it took you to get out of the foam pit?
They had to help me. Well, I mean, yes. Moving on, ladies and gentlemen.
Fair enough.
Here we go with our Paris temperature update. It's been a hot day. I know they were at least in the mid-90s. I mean, it's 9 o'clock in the evening there now. 90 degrees still is what's going on. I want to show you the visible satellite picture. You know, earlier I touched on the fact that our modeling is picking up on the less wildfire smoke in our skies, thanks largely, if not entirely, to the rain we had yesterday. So a lot of spots are pretty clear. This is showing mainly clear skies in Bend. They're not expected to have much wildfire smoke. And a lot of the southeast is actually cumulus cloud cover, kind of like we have broken here on the west side, and in fact not wildfire smoke. Now the news is not as good when you drop down into Northern California. Here's Redding, and there are those two of the big fires. Look at that smoke just pouring off of those still, showing up very vividly today. In the satellite imagery. We still have clouds up north. We thought generally the story today would be the north coast, more cloudiness, the south coast, more sun, and the same in the valley. The farther north you go, more clouds, the farther south you go, more sunshine. So here's Cannon Beach, where it's still cloudy. A lot of people out enjoying themselves. Now you drop down Lincoln County, a lot of people out in Depot Bay, and it's cleared out there, at least partly cloudy skies. This is a view from the Channel House, and there's 101, and there's downtown, looking pretty good. Nice day developing out in the gorge and Hood River, where winds are light. That's the back terrace and the vineyard on site there at Cathedral Ridge Winery. Temperatures in the gorge today up into the 80s easily. And Portland will make it as well. We have kind of broken cloudiness. We've had the same sky condition much of the day so far. 76 is the temperature. 67 in Astoria, 73 in Bend, where it'll be up into the 80s today, and 72 degrees out in Baker City. These are current temperatures across the area. Warmest spot up in Wenatchee, where it's 80. Okay, if you haven't heard, so we had the rain yesterday, and today, you know, we're trying to clear out of the low cloudiness. We'll get back to more sun tomorrow. And then Thursday and Friday, just like that, a tremendous spike in heat. So the center of that hot air right now, this is this afternoon actually at 4:15, is pretty much over Denver, Colorado. I'm watching the dark red coloring. And here's Thursday, that same air mass that was centered over here in Colorado now expands to the west across Nevada, moves northward up into Idaho and parts of Oregon, and we will be feeding off of this. And the weather modeling that's been coming out keeps going hotter and hotter and hotter. So we want to give you a big heads up on Thursday and Friday to plan your days accordingly. High temperatures 95, and let me raise this to, I wouldn't be surprised if we have 101 numbers in parts of the Willamette Valley. Again, the hottest day looks to be Thursday, but still well up into the 90s on Friday. Obviously, reduced activity. If the heat bothers you, and everybody, no matter what, would want to stay hydrated if you're going to be outdoors. Here are the temperatures we expect this afternoon. Numbers-wise, still very comfortable. This shows 82 at 5 o'clock in Salem, 60s at the coast, 84 in Madras. Still holding on to the chance of a shower popping out over the Blue Mountains today, but it's been pretty dry out there as of late. Baker City's 81, and here's our 7-day. 81 today in Portland, 86 tomorrow. Here's the KGW weather impact alert for heat. 99 on Thursday, maybe 100, 96 on Friday, back into the low 90s Saturday. And real quick, I'm watching a chance of late day storms Saturday over the Cascades. Then a chance again Sunday afternoon, and maybe Sunday evening, night, we could get a shower popping into the valley. And then we're cooling down a little bit to start next week. I've lowered that to 88 degrees, and that is your forecast.
One more question for you, Rod.
Yes.
When's the last time you used a dual rotor chopper? Dual rotor chopper.
Oh, that's been at least more than 3 weeks ago.
Here's a look at a dual rotor chopper in action. They used it to lift some huge logs into the air over East Multnomah County and place those logs with precision, of course, creating log jams in Beaver Creek, which runs into the Sandy River. So 74 logs and 23 jams in all were all created here to help improve habitats for salmon, steelhead, and other fish. This work, by the way, is all thanks to a voter-approved Metro bond. There you go. Workers in action, much like you and I, Rod.
It's going to be a fun job, right? Being on the helicopter crew there, watching all that happen.
All right, so for our final shot of this newscast,
yes,
we can go to Paris, France. You want to go?
Let's go.
Okay, off to Paris we go for a look, if you will, a live look, as that graphic suggests, of the flame burning there. It's just off to the, a little bit to the right of the center of your screen, underneath that balloon-shaped object, the Olympic flame. We have more Olympic action coming your way on KGW TV tonight. Check us out in prime time. Rodney and myself are going to get a good night's sleep.
We are.
And then we're going to come back and join you for KGW News at sunrise.
That's a short night's sleep.
That's tomorrow morning starting at 4:30.